It was the hard part watching him go back every time. But everybody pleaded with him, please don't go back, please don't go back.
That was the family of Ricardo Sykes back in June. Sykes was allegedly shot and killed by his wife. In August, a procession was held for Cassandra Pena Romero, the Little Rock emergency dispatcher who was also allegedly shot and killed by her estranged husband. What do they both have in common? They are victims of domestic violence who sought out protection orders but still lost their lives. Tonight, we take a closer look at how the courts step in to help keep victims safe and how that process can sometimes fall short.
He would mentally torment me, in different ways, but he never physically abused me until there was a gun to my head.
Jawan Archer, founder of Women's Own Worth, is a domestic violence survivor. Following her experience, she formed the organization to help other women get out and move forward.
And this guy was somebody that did not fear the police. So I knew that if he hadn't ended his life, that he was coming back for mine.
Her situation was so dire, she sought out an order of protection from her abuser.
When I went to the police immediately after having a gun to my head, we did all the paperwork, and then I was told to come back to the police station and that we would do an order of protection. Well, on Monday, I didn't have an opportunity to because he came back with a gun again.
It's a reality some domestic violence victims tell us they often face. Too much time from when they report what happened to when an order is actually granted by the courts. And even if a protection order is granted, sometimes it doesn't stop the violence.
Had I gotten the piece of paper, it's still a piece of paper. They had a bolo out, be on the lookout for this guy. They were already looking for him. I can either go into hiding, I can either fight, or I can freeze.
Archer says despite not being able to apply for an order before her abuser returns, she encourages victims to take that first step.
An order of protection is a piece of paper, okay? But that piece of paper can help you if you ever have to defend yourself, or if you're in a court situation, it's documented.
A study by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence shows 37% of Arkansas women and nearly 36% of men experience domestic abuse or stalking in their lifetimes. In our state, there are typically 3 types of protection orders used to help victims of domestic abuse: no contact orders, order of protection, and restraining orders. I sat down with Will Jones, Pulaski County's prosecuting attorney, to ask about the success of these orders and what potential risks come with them for a victim.
What we usually do is just encourage them to get this order in place, and that'll give you something, at least some piece of paper to show a police officer or someone that you sought out protection from this person. It doesn't mean that that person has to be arrested. It may be that the order of protection is enough to stop the situation.
But Jones concedes that these protection orders aren't perfect.
We actually had a trial this year where someone had an order of protection, and the person broke in their house and was waving the order of protection around, but they were able to call the police and get them there quicker. Now, she still ended up getting stabbed, and that was probably a couple of years ago, but we were able to get justice for her, and that was a big part of the trial.
Jones adds that these orders are key to helping with arrest and prosecution, but how can the system become better at keeping victims safe? We talked about potential solutions like routine checks on domestic violence victims. Archer explained why an officer doing it at the wrong time could be a problem.
You're preparing to leave. It might be a week from then that you're fully prepared to leave, and it has to be that survivor's decision on the timing, and a police officer comes back to check and they knock on the door. Not a good thing. Not a good thing.
I also asked about routine surveillance of people who have a history of complaints and orders filed against them. Jones said surveillance isn't the answer, but re-examining bond for repeat violators is a potential solution.
I think the courts would take that into account, in assessing someone's bond, and hopefully we could keep them in jail away from the person. So if there's a violation of an order and someone's convicted of it, and then they commit an act of that same act again within 5 years, then it becomes a felony. And so a felony is a whole different deal.
Both agree because each situation is so unique, finding the right solution is difficult. So for now, they say personal preparation is key.
have a plan in place, and then keep a copy of that with you at all times. Keep a copy at your home and your, maybe even at work, and let people at work know, and have one in your car. Just be ready and be vigilant. If you see that person and you think it's about to be violated or anything like that, just make sure you call the police immediately.
You fight, and your life is worth just as much as the person that's trying to take it.
So what do you need to do if you need a protection order? You can start by going to the circuit clerk's office to get the forms to file a petition and affidavit. In addition, many domestic violence shelters and some county offices also have victim advocates who can help you with filing your petition and affidavit. Now, there is no charge to file a petition for an order of protection.